Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Judy Currier from UCLA. I'm one of the co-directors of the UCLA-CDU CFAR. And before I start, I just think we need another round of applause for Wen, who's done an amazing job. Oh, I wish she could organize my entire life. So I'm supposed to recap yesterday, but Nina did such a wonderful job yesterday doing that I'm not. I'm just so excited to be back today. Despite all the challenges that we're facing in this world, there was so much hope in the room yesterday, and so much passion and creativity, and so many great ideas. I really hope all of you returned energized. And I really had the experience of, watching these presentations of the community-partnered work in real time. You think about the impact of that compared to reading about it in a journal, right? The visual, the voices, the hearing exactly, the pictures. I think it was so powerful, and we need to think about how to translate or how to share what we're doing in this visual way, because I think it's really impactful. We also, for those of you who were at the listening session yesterday from NIH, I just want to thank our colleagues for doing that, because I think it also gave people a lot to think about. And one of the themes of this meeting is the need for these multi-level interventions, and the need to break down the silos between all of the different funding sources that we have that are needed to support this work and to end the epidemic. So I think it was a really nice way to stimulate a lot of thinking about how we can do things differently, and it's great that people are listening. So I have a surprise for all of you, a really great treat. We have in our midst today the new ONAP, Office of National AIDS Policy Director, Francisco Ruiz. And he's going to make a few remarks, so you don't have to listen to me. But because I'm just learning a little bit about his background and talk about the man for the moment. Coming from 10 years at the CDC, working on partnerships within the HIV prevention Bureau and trying to understand how to bring people together. He's also been working on a PhD on exactly this same thing. So we couldn't have a better person at this moment to be leading the National AIDS Policy Office, and he's here with us today to make a few remarks. So welcome, Francisco.
Buenos dias. One more time. Buenos dias. All right, we need some more coffee, people. Thank you so much. Yesterday I was approached after dos copas, after 2 glasses of wine, if I could say a few remarks. So I don't have anything sort of scripted, which is probably the best, right? Speaking from my heart. I can't say how honored and humbled I am to be here. And for many of you, I've worked alongside. I grew up in HIV. This was sort of like first gig. I started HIV in the Peace Corps, actually. And then my first job back from the Peace Corps was working in DC at a youth center, doing some SAMHSA work. And then, fast forward, worked at NASTAT for many years, and then CDC. And then now I'm here in Queer. And exactly, right? And so I think, there's a lot of work. We know that it's an election year. We know that there's a lot of stuff happening around the country. We've talked about that already yesterday. I was really moved from the stories and the passion that I've seen, and I promise and commit to carrying that in that big house in La Casa Blanca. And last week was my first week, so I figured out how to use the laptop and the cell phone and all that good stuff. And then this week I'm here, and I couldn't be happier. I'm going to Seattle after this as well for the Biomedical Summit. So I think part of the job is I was speaking with folks as I was in the process, and it was probably like the worst kept secret, because I kept on getting text messages like, hey, I heard, and I was like, girl, I can't say nothing. And so I'm not gonna get fired before I'm hired. And so one of my big things is sort of want to make sure that I'm in the community, and that's when I was talking to folks at the White House in the process. They basically outlined sort of 3 areas of interest for me in this position. and something that I know that Harold Phillips, who many of you have worked with while he was in his tenure, is one of them is community engagement, and that's something that I take to heart in the partnership activities that I've done all these years, and really meaningful community engagement, not sort of checking off the box, but really actively engaging and then following up and still engaging when there isn't any ask of people. I think that's really important, particularly our federal colleagues. I know that we're doing that a lot more, and I'd love to see that continue, but also to show some, what happens after these listening sessions, after these engagement sessions, and I promise to do that too in my position. The other thing that they asked for me to do in this position is, as we know, the National HIV Strategy and EHE, making sure that we're sort of meeting our benchmarks. And I think really ending HIV starts with believing we can. We have a lot of obstacles, we have a lot of challenges, but it's really channeling those beliefs into sort of sustained action, into engaging of our community, hearing from our community, and also mobilizing the resources. We have all the resources, maybe not all the financial resources, and that's something that we're going to look at and see how we can do that. But we have the biomedical resources, we have the services, but we need to make sure that everyone has access to them. And what does that look like in our communities? And I think the third thing, and this is also sort of the exciting part, is like the ONAP, where I sit, is within the Domestic Policy Council. So all the different policies across the country around housing, around LGBTQ rights, immigration, all that kind of comes through the DPC. So I'm really excited to make sure that just know that you have eyes and ears when these things come through the desk to really inform, because I think, HIV, we have a lot of our different institutions and a lot of the work, but we have to look at the whole person, right? Before I'm HIV positive, I'm Latino. Before I'm Latino, I'm my mother's son, and et cetera, et cetera. We have to sort of, what other services do I need for my community, for my family? And so, yes, we need to sort of fortify and build our HIV sort of infrastructure, but we have to look at the whole person. And so, for me, it is not short that I am the first Latina in this position. It's really exciting. Or Latino, or Latinx, or Latina, call me whatever you want. Sometimes Hispanic if I want to panic him. But I think I'm really excited to sort of bring my voice, to bring my sazon to the work that I've seen a lot of my fellow colleagues do in their respective. So just know that I'm here. I am sitting there. Come to me, come talk to me. I look forward to all the great work and the conversations that we had yesterday about engaging community, bringing community into these spaces. I really, really mean. I think, I'm going to challenge everyone in this room, from the federal colleagues to executive directors to presidents of universities and institutions. Make sure that you bring your up-and-coming fellow junior staff. And it might mean shuffling some budgets. It might mean having to sort of explain a little bit more and break down all the alphabets and acronyms. But I think if we're really, truly looking at workforce, as we talk about representation and capacity, we need to do that extra work. We need to make sure that our community and this work is continuing, and so that involves, again, shuffling some of the things that we've done in the past to make sure that they're here with us, because at the end of the day, that's how I learned. People brought me to meetings when I was up and coming, and then now I'm here. So see, it works. I'm a product of that. A lot of great mentors had me standing on their shoulders, and so I'm very grateful for that. And so I encourage and challenge everyone to do that. If you're going to a meeting, even if it's in your own city, hey, could I bring that person to this meeting and just sit next to me, learn, observe? They don't have to say anything, but just that exposure that they can do that in the near future is really, really key. You can't, it's one of those things where I learned a lot, and I just want to make sure that we continue to do that. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Sorry for blabbling away. The coffee's kicking in. It's not the wine this time. So thank you so much. I look forward to working with you all.